What is determined by a few things. So the success is going to be determined by genetics. So I specialize in something called nutrigenomics or nutrigenetics, somewhat interchangeable terms, where you look at family groups of gene SNPs that pertain to the different systems in your body, cardiovascular system, your hormones, your mental health, how you use micronutrients. This really does determine whether you would do better on low fat, low carb, should you be gluten-free, do you metabolize caffeine well, should you avoid dairy. 75% of the global population does not really have the gene mutation to break down lactose or have that lactase persistence. So genetics really informs how to personalize your dietary plan. On top of this, you've got your own microbiome, and things like medicine, stress will affect the quality of your microbiome and whether you have a higher intestinal permeability and maybe need to do some kind of restoration plan of that microbiome, which then also may affect hormones and other like especially insulin. This leads to also food preferences, but also food intolerances. Do certain foods irritate you? Even if it doesn't show up in the genetics that this is very, very broad scope, you may have developed an intolerance to something that you've eaten over and over and over again because you have higher intestinal permeability. So figuring out the what, then you can do a boatload of lab testing. You can wear a continuous glucose monitor to see how your blood glucose responds to certain foods. This is how you get dialed in to your what, right? You have to kind of look at this very holistically. If you really, really care and you're not looking for a shortcut, you're going to start kind of diving more deeply in a sort of like a functional way and ask yourself this question so that you're not spinning your wheels. I, for example, went vegan years ago, and I ended up fracturing a couple of bones. And later, when I got into nutrigenomics, I learned that I don't convert vitamin A from plant sources. And I learned that I don't convert omega-3 very well from plant sources. So I made a terrible vegetarian, let alone vegan. And I ended up with micronutrient deficiencies. I also have a very high requirement for protein, and that's just my profile. So these are questions, these are things that are worth investing into if you're really, really curious and you're confused and you're not getting results.